Particularly my ass, but that's not the first.
I had a major milestone. It was the first time Milo's actually been hit with damage.
What?
Really?
Really?
Wait, really?
Damn.
Really?
Oh, holy shit. Damn.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, I'm obviously taking that at 7th level. Good lord.
So I believe we have some level ups to take care of, do we not?
Oh wait, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can.
Ah.
Setch. So you
And
leveled up,
Zetch
didn't you?
has a level up that he has to discuss with us.
Yep,
Zetch,
I hit
what
level
did you
4.
take at level 4?
Let's see. As a sorcerer for level 4, I got an additional sorcery point. A new cantrip, chose Prestidigitation. A new spell, I went with Misty Step because that's always useful.
Oh, thank God! Finally, we had prestidigitation.
Yeah, right.
I will clean everything.
Make me pretty.
We need that so much.
There's no making you pretty, Raka.
Make me pretty.
Also, at level 4, I took the feat Elemental Adept. So anything that had resistance to fire does not have resistance to my fire. And anytime I roll a 1 for damage, it's going to be counted as a 2.
Sweet.
That's pretty awesome.
Brian,
Because
some of us don't get our paycheck till Monday.
Who said I paid for it?
I've been playing since midnight, so
Yeah.
Could have it, but
cool.
I've already
And
spent enough money.
I don't think there's anyone else that that leveled up, correct?
Oh,
We're all still level 4. Or did Mail? Did you get level 4? I'm confused.
Technically, we haven't taken a long rest, so technically I'm not level 4.
What are you taking at level 4?
At level 4, I am going to be taking a feat because of the ability score improvement, and I'm going to be taking a crossbow expert,
Excellent.
which allows
What
me
does crossbow
to
expert do?
gets rid of the loading mechanism, part of crossbows and things like that. I can have a hand crossbow loaded. I can shoot it while using an additional attack with like a melee weapon, and gets rid of disadvantage on if I'm shooting within melee range with a crossbow.
Hold on one moment. I'll murder my cat.
That is a dead cat.
Joy! No! Meow.
Now I have to wait for the fucking 20-minute install for fucking XCOM.
That's a
All
shame.
right. Excellent.
Oh, fucking boo-hoo.
So let's do
I'm so sorry.
a quick recap. For those of you that don't remember, we last left our adventuring party minus Wolfram, fleeing from the what do you call it? The
Knights of the Stag?
Knights of the Stag, because
I'm
they had
hoping the new guy's name is Tungsten.
caused some disruption and essentially left Wolfram to die at the to the Knights of the Stag after some conflict between a couple of party members.
That's putting it lightly.
I tried.
So
He twitched in a way I didn't like it.
So you guys escaped the city without being detected by any of the patrols that were rushing to the building to try and figure out what the heck just happened. You do know, however, that your faces are probably recognizable. There was that woman, that acolyte, who escaped during the brawl that you guys had. And also those other individuals that rushed into the room and almost trampled Milo, the giant bear, and all that other fun stuff. But you guys were able to successfully make your way out of the city, and then as you're fleeing, you came across an encampment with a familiar face, which I'm sure was quite a welcome sight. You guys actually ran into Jebedo, slightly to the west of Talagrad, which was the city that you guys were in, and we ended the moment with Raka rushing to embrace Jebedo in a friendship hug, I'm sure. So, you guys arrive, and you notice, maybe you didn't take this up at first glance, but you notice that the camp that you've kind of wandered into, blustered into, as you guys were just kind of fleeing the town as fast as possible. It's not small. It's not designed for just a couple of people. There appears to be quite a few individuals, for lack of a better term, living or squatting out here in the forests. You could tell that this is not a temporary overnight encampment where you don't really set up a tent or anything like that. You just kind of throw your bag down and sleep in it, and maybe you have a fire, maybe you don't. This encampment has a built-up oven, stove for cooking, and it's got some makeshift tents that have been fashioned out of low-hanging trees and branches and stuff like that. So it's fairly well established. And you notice that it probably could support maybe 10 to 12 individuals. And in fact, you see around you a lot of activity. There appears to be a few people who are taking an interest in your arrival, and so what do you guys do when you walk up in this scene and you guys just you didn't really notice it upcoming because you guys were more distracted with trying to flee the patrols of very angry rangers and druids that were pursuing you.
I rush up and I grab up Jebediah and the Big Bear and I go, Jebediah, oh my god!
So as you're squeezing the life out of him, he starts hitting you with the butt of his flail, to get you to put him down. He's like, hey, put me down.
I put him down.
He says, what are you all doing here?
Fleeing at the moment.
Yeah.
Fleeing from what?
Knights of the Stag. They still have. We all here, except for.
Everybody's here except for Wolfram.
Obviously, he wouldn't be here. Yeah. So how you been?
So yeah, Jebediah, he kind of he cocks an eyebrow at the question. And he goes, "How have I been? You all look like you run most of the day and the night. I think that tending to you should be our first concern, or you even look injured." So he kind of sees the signs of brawl and viscera over most of you, and he probably says, "Where are the others?"
Well, Deidre died, and Wolfram is probably dead.
Wolfram lost it. He kind of brought this on himself. I would feel bad, but I don't.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have quite a few stories to tell, and I have some of my own. It's good to see you. This must be some kind of fate that we met here.
Yes.
I assume that you got my message then. And he kind of looks at Jericho.
Yes. You were right. Wasn't not sure it was quite as helpful as you were hoping, but you tried, and that's what matters.
He kind of.
I'm scoping it.
What?
Sorry, sounds cutting out for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Doing a quick triage of the rest of the party. How are we doing? Who's close to death?
Well, you can look up here. This should be accurate. Oh wait. It should be accurate.
Okay, so Hedwig's fine.
Yep.
That's all that really matters, our MVP.
No problem there. Hedwig is totally at full health of 1.
Yep.
It's a mighty health bar.
I am at little over half. Granted, that's still 20 hit points missing.
And granted, I was at lower hit points, but as this conversation is going on, you just see Mail just pulling out his pack and pulling out his poultices and just going to work on himself with patching himself up with his own poultices.
Just going to town on himself, right?
Yep.
I go over to him and ask if he has a couple extra.
like you like look at him and he just kind of like looks up at you and he's like, I'm afraid I don't. Well, hold on, let me check. And he starts digging through his pack again, and he looks at his inventory to see how many he does have prepared, and he does. He has
2, so you might have one more.
actually, I only spent 1, I believe. No, I spent 2. Right?
No, you used 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have 1 extra one left. As I look at you, and I'm like, "Do you need one, laddie?"
Not really, I suppose. I'm still all right. I suppose I could keep on going.
He nods at you, and he continues going over himself and things like that.
Actually, while most of the party is doing this, Zetch is going to edge over to Milo. Just who is this Jebedo?
He was one of our companions when we started our journey, but he stayed behind along the way.
Then he ally, yes?
Yeah, he was very helpful to us.
Fucked up a Minotaur for you guys. In fact, Wolfram would probably have been dead much sooner had Jebedo not been there.
Yeah.
It was a good fight with Jebedo.
So yeah, I think that as you guys are having that conversation, Jebedo looks at surveys the scene and says, "Jellico, introduce me to your friends. I don't recognize these two." He kind of nods to Zetch and Mail.
Yeah, sure. You gotta ask me, the guy who wasn't actually here when Zetch joined. That's Mile. Mostly, I would recommend not disagreeing with him, I think.
I gotta be AFK for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, good. I'll just make up stuff about your character.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I think that we can probably montage this whole scene. We don't have to go through it, right? So
Cool.
Yeah. Jebedo gets introduced to Mail and to Zetch. Kind of learns, asks a few brief questions, oh, where are you from, that kind of thing. And then, so my question to the group as a whole is, how much of the story since you guys left to go to the bandit caves, since separating from Jebedo, do you relay? Do you just give it full in its entirety, no holds bar? Do you hold any of that other kind of weird shit back? The whole Wolfram Chaos Taints, the whole, vampire demon in the bottom of the dungeon.
I think we tell them.
I can't think to hold back on that.
Okay.
He was our companion, so.
Okay, cool. So you guys go into the full-on account. So that probably takes us through most of the awake hours.
One thing, while somebody else, presumably Raka, being the enthusiastic friend that he is catching Jebedo up on some of our escapades, Jericho will sidle over to Milo and ask if he can detect any kind of magic on Jebedo, because this is really convenient, and I'm a little bit suspicious, given the things that have been happening to us lately.
Sure, yeah. That's an amazing ringtone, Raka.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't get it to fucking stop. And it's a porn message. Fuck. Are you dreaming about me? Look at me. I'm nice and real. Hurry up and go and get me, honey. Go faster and take me.
Okay. So Milo, how do you react when Jericho asks you that?
I kind of look at him puzzled, but I do as he says.
Yeah, so your Arcana check's gonna grant you the fact that Jebedo looks like Jebedo. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's been in any particularly. Doesn't look like he's been as travel worn as you guys. Looks like he's been a little bit more sedentary than the adventurous party that you are. But he looks fairly normal. He probably has maybe a few more rings under his eyes. He looks a little bit stressed. That you could get from just basically looking at him. You don't really need to make a roll for it, but No, as far as you can
Okay.
tell, he's not like being compelled or anything. As far as you can tell.
That makes one less of our former companions. That's completely crazy.
And then the bitch bit me, but her tooth broke.
Right. So Jebediah is taking in all of the story, and I think that when you get to like the part of the Knights of the Stag,
And at some point in the conversation, I would like to say, "Hey, Jebediah,
Yeah.
do you want to buy some gems?"
yes, Raka. He says, I have no need for gems.
You sure?
Yes.
They're pretty awesome, and I take them out. Wow.
Raka, I'm certain I have no need for those.
You sure?
Raka, don't worry, we'll be able to sell the gems down the
Where will we be able to sell them? Where?
Our travels will take us through many large towns and cities, Raka. We'll sell them somewhere.
Yeah, so I think that when you guys get to the part of the story about the Knights of the Stag and how they accosted you, Milo listened, or sorry, not Milo. Jebediah listens a little bit more intently, and he kind of he seems to be taking mental note of certain key points. And when you finish with your story, he probably asks a few questions, but he does relay the information that him and a few members from varying churches have they've noticed some strange activity from the Knights of the Stag recently, and he was actually petitioned by a member or a few members of a couple of different orders to investigate this, and he, the Knights of the Stag fall under Tal as well, so Jebediah is somewhat conflicted. He actually expresses that he doesn't believe the Knights of Tal the Knights of the Stag are being coerced in any way. He believes they truly, from his investigation, believe in the mission that they are completing right now. And he explains to you that the mission that they, as far as they have determined, is they have actually sealed off to Labheim from the outside world. And I don't know if any of you have any play into Labheim in your recent travels. You guys can determine whether or not you do.
Yeah, I need to go there.
The Knights of the Stag have actually sealed the city off from the rest of the world. And they actually control the Wizard's Way, which is the path, the only true footpath from the outside of the crater to the inside of the crater. And they've actually prevented a fair amount of magical messages leaving the city as well. They basically quarantined the crater. Now this is highly concerning, obviously, to many parties, because Labheim is one of the largest cities in the Empire. It's, I think, the 4th largest city in the Empire, which is saying something because there's quite a few towns and cities dotted throughout the landscape. But they haven't revealed to anyone else kind of what they're doing. Now, it's not uncommon. The Knights of the Stag always have kind of had a reputation for being extreme, fanatical in their devotion. There were some rumors probably that maybe it wasn't Tal actually guiding them. Maybe some of the council have gotten kind of in line with Ahalt the Drinker, who is the ancient god of hunt and fertility. He's the sworn enemy of Tal. But he could easily pass as Tal if he wanted to, because they kind of live in very similar lines of the religious sects that kind of hang out in the world. But Jebediah actually doesn't believe that's the case. He believes that the Knights of the Stag got some information or some suspicion, whether it's good or not, that there's something going on in Labheim that requires this course of action. And it's kind of why there haven't been armies marching on the Knights of the Stag to free Labheim from what's going on. It's been very, very contained, and since Jebedo was sent here to figure out what was going on, he explains that they don't have a whole lot of information and they can't get into the city right now to get their side of the story. And he's also really lax to just attack members of a similar order that he is from, because they technically, in essence, haven't really done anything wrong per the laws of the land. The Emperor might care that they've cut off Talabheim, but they're also a religious order. The fact that they follow Tal as opposed to Sigmar might cause some red flags, but in essence, the religious sects of this world are kind of allowed to do these things. They're kind of allowed to just go on a religious conquest as long as everything is kind of kosher with the deities, right? So it's a little bit strange, the dynamic here. But Jebedo isn't sure if anyone outside of his order and a few other religious orders are here that actually know about what's going on specifically. So
it's like church and state are separate, but so separate that they literally want nothing to do with each other.
Yes. So church is state in this world. The cult of Sigmar runs the country. It's like the exact opposite, and that's why it doesn't matter, right? It's not that church and state don't want anything to do with each other. It's that they're the same entity. So whatever they're doing is what the state would approve of, right?
Okay.
Whatever the church does, or whatever a church does from a recognized deity, that's not a chaotic one. Whatever a registered deity or church of a deity does, that's kind of their own business, and nobody really gets involved, except for other religious sects that exist.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, they've got the backing of the gods, so they're doing the right thing.
Right, exactly. Now, it's not uncommon, especially between the worshippers of Ulrich, who's the wolf god, to kind of clash heads with the worshippers of Sigmar. They're kind of at odds most of the time. But as long as, there's not really... It's hard to define what the law system is, because the law is basically... don't murder people that don't need to be murdered, and your general, it's kind of more based off a moral system as opposed to there's actual laws in place to prevent things from happening. Basically, don't get on the wrong side of somebody, and you won't be thrown in jail, which on one hand is extremely corrupt because there's no checks and balances, but on the other hand it keeps really good order because people know that they'll just be executed or thrown in jail if they do something wrong, in the eyes of their peers, right? So it's kind of a weird.
Well, we're off to a great start.
Dynamic. Yeah, you guys are off to a great start. So he expresses all of this, and he says, we haven't. He explains that he hasn't been able to get into the city or talk with anybody from the city, really. And he also hasn't been able to get an audience with the council of the Knights of the Stag, which is somewhat strange in the fact that he, as a paladin of Tal, should be able to just walk right in and talk to anybody, and they wouldn't even mess with him. But the Knights of the Stag have kind of gone rogue a little bit on their plans right now. And it's kind of a mystery to everybody as to why that would happen. But once he's got all of you kind of gathered around, he also explains one more thing to you. He's probably like, well, now that you're all here, I need to... well, we have a problem. As I've said before, we can't contact the city. There's no way to get through the Wizard's Way. They hold the pass. It's nigh impossible. Not with the men that I have, and not myself personally, could break through that. But there is some other disturbing news that may be related. We're not really sure. For those of you that don't know, the crater that surrounds Talabheim was caused by a massive meteor strike, or comet. and it caused the mountains to raise. And it's been long suspected that that was, well, not benign in origin. Recently, we've discovered some collapses due to seismic activity or something else in some of the walls that surround the crater. We've discovered that there are, well, there's a network of tunnels that seem to run through the crater walls. They're natural as a crater can get, but we've kind of come to the conclusion that it may be possible that if on this side the tunnels have been opened, that on the other side they have as well. Now, I don't know where else to turn for this, but perhaps you all arriving here grants me my solution. We've sent a few sorties into the tunnels, and we haven't heard back from any of them. We don't know if they've made it to the other side. Perhaps they're lost. But I have no more men to send. At this point, we're limited to attempting to work out the situation diplomatically with the Knights of the Stag, but they're not talking to us. Until more resources can arrive, there's nothing I can really do except for sit on my hands. I was wondering, would you all be willing to try to see if you can enter the tunnels and get to the other side? Because it's either that or we may have to fight our way through Talagard, and I don't relish that opportunity.
Jebedo, and I place my hand on his shoulder. Will you pay us?
He kind of looks at you, and he looks like he looks offended, but his face kind of softens as he looks at Raka's dumb, stupid head face, and he just says, "Raka, I can't. I have no money."
Okay, well I'll still do it.
This is not for a monetary cause. We just trying to figure out what happened here.
Okay, well I'll still do it. I was just asking.
He just shakes his head and smiles a little bit, and he's like, "Raka, promise me you'll never change."
Why would I? I'm fucking awesome!
So what do you guys
Although
say
he
after
is
he
more
says that
cautious.
story? After he gives you that rundown of what's going on?
Male just kind of keeps quiet and kind of waits for everyone else to say their opinions.
Does anyone respond? Just Raka says, "Will you pay us?"
And then I'm
I
pretty
think
much
a
say
lot
I'll
of us-
do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were hoping to spend some time in Talabheim. And this does seem very suspicious circumstances. I'm certainly willing to investigate if everyone else is.
Also, I have no qualm fighting the members of the Stag. Just FYI.
Yeah, I mean, essentially your two options, should you wish to pursue this line of questing, is you enter the tunnels, try to get into Talabheim and figure out what's going on, or you just smash your way through the Knights of the Stag and get to Talabheim and try and figure out what's going on.
I'd rather go through the
They're not
tunnels,
do
though.
that second one.
Yeah, that's kind of your the options presented to you now, according to Jebedo.
So as no one is really speaking up besides Raka into this matter, Male just kind of he finishes applying his poultices on, and he looks already a hell of a lot better than what he was in before, the condition he was in before, and he just I have no reason to stay here, and neither does the group. We have, as far as I'm aware, a more important matter. Figure out what why we're all together. And he kind of like looks at the others. He's like, your vision. All of you've had it before. Why does it involve this? Do you not?
We need to help out a friend.
Male, though I respect your perspective, we must also acknowledge Jebedo is their family, is their friend. Though he may not be traveling with them now, it would only be logical and honor-bound for us to help him in his quest as well.
Logical. What I see is doing someone else's work because they don't have the necessary means to do it.
They're our friend. Friend help friend. That is how...
Yeah, Jebedo actually probably raises his hand. He goes, well, male. It's male, right? I will remind you that I also have a stake in your quest. Lest you forget it. I'm just as concerned for my family as well. However, if it's between my family and the lives of every single person here, I believe that it's a pure numbers game. Tal has taught me many things, and one is that nature will take its course when it takes its course.
Aye. And so far, what I'm seeing is that someone is taking its course. Perhaps you shouldn't just let it run through.
And you say that you all being here at this time is not fortuitous. Perhaps you are on a much straighter course than you think. Perhaps you are a instrument of the gods.
Male kind of spits on the ground and you say the instrument of the gods. He's like, I don't believe in that shit.
Jebedo shrugs and he goes, what is your prerogative?
Get to the tower. That's all my concern is. The faster we get there, the better.
Well, look, it's still going to take us like a long time to get there.
It's going to take us longer if we dilly-daddle over here.
So what's an extra day or two to help a friend out?
What if this takes longer? What if it takes a week? We end up getting captured, prisoner, for months. Then what?
Zech walks over to Milo and puts his hand on his shoulder, his right hand, notably. Milo is correct. We must help a friend. Friends help friends. He may not be able to help us now, but Jebedo did give us warning. Now we help him now, he help us later. Friends.
Bill just kind of sighs deeply and he's like, I stay with the party no matter what. However, it's your decisions on what you do, not mine, as it seems. If you wish to go into Tabelheim once more, so be it. And he just kind of like scoffs and like starts walking away.
Well, you've all heard my opinion, and I think Rakka's down for it. Jericho, what about you?
Marching into this kind of death trap isn't really my first choice, but I suppose we've seen that pretty much anywhere can be a death trap. So, sure, why not? Let's be heroes.
The world is my death trap.
I take out my chalice and go, to Reese! Let's do this!
Yeah, Jebedo probably like raises an eyebrow, and he like whispers to whoever's closest to him, and he says, "You let them keep that thing. Why?"
We wouldn't be able to get him off it if we tried.
Speaking of which, Jebedo! We're haunted!
Yes, Rakka.
Do you know how we can fix that?
Fix what?
The haunting.
Haunting of what?
I don't know. Some bitch with blue eyes. They were beautiful, though.
So yeah, I'm assuming that you told him the story of that creature, right? Like you said, you devolved everything. So he probably thinks for a moment. Actually, I still have his character sheet. Watch this. Let's see what he knows. about this thing. Keep choosing. Retired characters, Jebediah. I think it's gonna be a religion roll. Okay. So he probably he's like, I have been thinking about that. I think I may know the beast that plagues you, but as far as ending it, well, I've never heard of one ending well.
Well, who is it?
It's not a who so much as a what. It's a powerful curse, and it's designed to trap a soul in the plane for eternity until it enacts its revenge. It's essentially can take over corpses, and it always knows where its quarry is. In fact, since you ended this thing's temporary life, 3-4 days ago, I'm positive it has already acquired another body and is finding its way to you now. I don't know how to rid yourself of it, but I would be wary.
Any chance we can just take its current body, lock it in a box, and never open the box again?
He shrugs. He says, that is a possibility of working. Although I have never dealt with the creatures myself.
But
I can
name?
send to some of my order to see if they may have a better reasoning.
Does it have a name? Are these common?
It's not common.
Oh,
But
wonderful.
I have heard of stories before.
It's
Typically,
just like
it is
that all over again.
when there is a great wrong done to someone, and their soul cannot move to the afterlife until their revenge has been enacted.
Oh, great.
What did we do?
Any chance it has something to do with these chalices?
Jebediah probably says, well, you acquired the chalices long before you met the creature, so it is doubtful, but possible.
You'd mentioned this could be curse. Could remove curse possibly assist us in dispersing this entity?
Perhaps one time, although it would take much more powerful magic to send the spirit into the afterlife without enacting its revenge.
Well, we have talented wizard, motioning to Milo. Should not be a problem.
Jebediah just shrugs and he's like, I can reach out to some friends, see if I can identify a possible solution. Perhaps in part payment for assisting me with this.
See,
Well,
we do favor for friend, he do favor for us.
Mail is like already like out of earshot from you guys, and he's just like kind of staring off in the distance.
okay, Raka, you and I need to go over all the things that we've done so far and figure out which of them could have been considered in some vague way possibly worthy of damnation.
Well, the first thought I had was the Chaos dude. Because I desecrated the shit out of his corpse.
Okay, but I wasn't involved in that.
I know, so that's... again, another one, Delilah.
Yeah.
That's a maybe. I did deal a shit ton of damage to her while you dealt the finishing blow.
Okay. Hedwig dealt the finishing blow. Even I can admit that.
Yeah.
But hang on. Now let me think. Did we find anything else in there?
She had
Jericho
blue eyes.
rummages around. Jericho rummages around in his bags until he can find that necklace that he pulled out of the water, which I believe was silver, and it has a charm on it that says Delilah.
It does indeed
That was
have
me.
all of those things.
Oh, yeah. The bandit leader said that was his precious. You know, after I killed him like a miserable bitch.
Right. Okay, so Raka, I know how much you love collecting things. Did you bring anything out of there?
I brought my maul, and I brought the clothes. I brought a potion. I brought the gems.
If it's those gems, you had better not let that get out, or you're going to have a hell of a time selling them.
Yeah, no one's doing. Don't worry, I got it. Right. This is tough. Well, I think for the time being, neither of us should be watch alone.
No, God, no.
Shit. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
It's bound to come to us sooner or later. Possibly in the middle of the night with claws.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Next time, maybe before she tries to murder us, we can shout a few questions at her.
Yeah, it's totally a thing that can happen. Totally
Yeah.
try to talk to the evil undead revenant bitch that's gonna try and kill you.
Yeah, seems good.
Might just be having a really bad day.
You know what might be easier? Think about all the shit you've done. The shit I've done is so numerous. Like, bad shit to people.
Okay, you're not wrong, but, I mean, what could I possibly have done that would pull this kind of wrath down on my head? I can't think of anything.
The druid?
I didn't do the druid. What druid?
I did.
You did a druid?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're using two different forms of verbs here. What are we talking about?
The panther dude.
You did what with a panther?
You know the dude that looked like a panther? That was in that green mist?
When we saved Bigfoot.
Right, panther. Okay.
Hey, do you remember the vaguely human druid that you guys slaughtered?
Yeah.
In that cauldron of green mist?
Rings a
That's what
bell.
I was talking about. I can actually show you. I still have that map, I think.
No, I remember, but I don't feel like we did anything really there that was worthy of the whole death curse deal.
Do you remember anyone with blue eyes?
Jericho just looks kind of wistful for a moment as a goes through his head. Some, yeah, why?
Well, when that chick stared at me, she had blue eyes.
Huh.
But when she was dead, she didn't have them.
Really? Okay, I was just going to say that was probably just the body that she was riding, but... Huh.
It was distinctly not the body she was riding.
Well, that's... Huh.
Yeah, it paralyzed me. I'm feeling paralyzed.
Cool. So...
Yeah, I think we're just going to go back and forth here and not really get anywhere at the moment.
Alright,
Yeah.
cool. So, Jebedo says, hey, there's something else, too. I think that I can probably spare one of the clerics that was sent here with me. He's not used to being, like, in a formal group. I'm sure you guys won't have a problem, though. But he expressed some interest into going down into the tunnels previously. We just didn't have the men to send with him. Hold on, I'm gonna go get him.
I can't wait to meet my new best friend.
To meet our new heel Bart.
So,
Da, 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 da.
he kind of like trots off, and then about 5 minutes later, about 5 minutes later, he comes back, and Brian, you want to go ahead and describe your character for us?
Yeah, sure. Alright. So, My guy stands about 6'6" and well over 200 pounds. He has buzz-cropped pale yellow hair, but it doesn't look like that's his hairstyle. It just looks like it's grown out and he hasn't had time to cut it. He has very washed out blue eyes and a scar that runs down the length of his face from his temple down to his jaw. He's wearing very heavy set chainmail, and on his back is what could be considered a great hammer. It's not what a normal maul looks like. It looks more like a warhammer, but the handle's just a bit too long, and the head is just a bit too large to be a normal warhammer.
Hi.
And he says, "This is Marcus. Marcus, this is the group that I've told you about."
Ah, so these are your adventuring company. They seem like a fun bunch.
Hi.
You have no idea.
Hello there.
Totally. We're haunted.
Then I
Just
should be able to
you'll,
take care of that.
you'll get used to Raka. Just a pleasure meeting you, Marcus.
Marcus looks over to Milo when he says that. He says, "Ah, a wizard.
No, an illusionist.
Where do you come from? Who do you hail with?"
Oh, I'm from a long way from home. I originally come from Bretonia, from the I've forgotten what my thing's called. The Gold faction.
Yeah,
That's not the actual word. But
it's
yes,
literally just the Gold Order.
that's the one. Gold Order.
Ah, a Bretonian. Interesting.
What about yourself? Where do you hail from?
I am from Altdorf. I am a member of the Order of the Silver Hammer, and I am a warrior priest of the Cult of Sigmar. That is who I am. That is who I have been raised as, and that is who I will be joining you as.
That's awesome. Can I look at your hammer?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
He
Okay.
probably won't lick it much.
Now, I want to examine that shit. That's an interesting design.
Marcus, do you have any experience with these tunnels?
Probably not beyond what Jevido explained, that you know of them. You know that sorties were thrown into them. And you can actually roll me a religion check, Marcus.
Alright. Oh god, I actually use religion. This is weird.
I know, I finally have a character in the party that has religion again. It's amazing.
Great use of it.
Yeah, just really bad at it.
Yeah, no, you just... It's got a pretty foreboding feeling to it. So, kind of a little bit of backstory, right? So the other instance where a comet struck the Empire was Mordheim. And in that case, it was widely assumed, especially probably by your order, Marcus, that it was Sigmar's divine wrath on the people of that city. However, it kind of had a bad side effect, where everyone basically became tainted with chaos that was exposed to the city too long, and the whole place just had to be purged. And that only happened about 10 years ago, so you would definitely know of it. Talabheim has existed for much longer than that in the crater of a similar happenstance that occurred. But there's never been really any stories of that kind of thing. You think it possibly a more natural reaction than the other. Than Mordheim was.
Alright.
But the stories of corrupt animals and humanoid creatures roaming through the streets of Mordheim probably haunt children's nightmares across the world, especially since it was so very recent. And there's still that area is still very quarantined, very don't go there. because you'll be killed by roving undead or chaos creatures.
Sure.
Sigmar's hammer was brought down.
Yeah, pretty much. But there are absolutely no opulent coaches.
One was built. One exists. Burned down a forest, haven't built.
So anyway, so do you guys just like get your introductions and then turn in for the night?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do.
Mail never introduced himself as he kind of parted himself away from the
Sure.
group
So
for-
what's Mail been doing for the past, couple of hours while that whole information dump has been going on?
Mail probably is like, he realizes that, he's used up some of his poultices and things like that, and, he needs to kind of clear his mind a little bit after.
Yeah. So would you like go and attempt to
Yeah.
start restocking so you can make them?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
It takes me about an hour to do so, and then maybe like on the way, I do my Outlander thing and just look for food that I
Sure.
find
Sure.
edible.
So creatures in this area are pretty scarce because this entire area is completely inhabited by hunters, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like the main primary source of.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily have to be
going
like
on here.
animals and things like that. It could be just like berries and things like that. So like he's
Yeah,
resourceful. He'll eat anything that's edible. That's the type of thing.
absolutely. Yeah, I think you can definitely make a meal for yourself.
So that's what essentially he does. He finds things to make his poultices and makes a meal for himself and things like that.
Awesome. I like it. Tell
You okay
Emerald
there,
to stop
Zach?
dying. I think it's his wife, actually. I'm not 100% certain on that.
Yeah, that was my wife. Sorry, she's dying.
Indeed, it sounds like it. Okay, cool. So you guys, you do your thing. You turn in for the night. None of you have to take a watch. Jebediah's men that he has here will go ahead and cover that for you, so you're kind of in like a little safe haven. And so the night passes uneventfully.
Maybe roll hit dice?
You can absolutely roll some hit dice.
Since we're taking a long rest, I'm just already going to take what I rolled for HP
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
then just add it. Yeah, I had it marked down.
Yeah, and don't forget the D6 for Jericho's Song of Rest, since it wakes up
You
out
get
of
an
a
additional d6. If you spend a hit dice, you get an additional d6.
Yeah, I
You don't
say
just
Mail's
get it,
going
you
to
have to
spend.
spend a hit dice. Yes.
Yep, Mail's just going to get one, and I'm just going to assume that. And
There you go, Rata. That's a decent amount.
Still not fully healed.
And I'll just use 2. There we go.
I was 20 down and I healed 19.
That's better than nothing, though.
Let's see, 14. Yep, heals me even without the d6. So I'll just have.
Yes.
I'll just have 2. I've always had full hit dice, and this is the first time I've actually used them, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, snap. Dude,
So,
Brian, your fucking avatar's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
indeed.
I was gonna use a different one, but then I was like, color fits so much better with the group, and I ended up going with that one.
I figured fuck it, I'm getting the full one. I rolled a goddamn 15.
That's nice.
Good lord.
Shut up, cat. I swear to God, I'm going to murder this game. Whew. Cool. So you guys wake up the next day, refreshed from your long night of, or long day previous of attempting to not die.
Yep.
And Jebediah greets you. He, as you guys wake up, and he says, "Well, hey, I've sent a messenger to hopefully find out some information on that thing that's tracking you. But I was wondering, will you guys be okay to travel today, or do you require some additional rest?"
I'm ready.
And just to be sure, Jericho, are you spending any hit dice?
Oh, right. Sorry.
I mean, you can totally not. I'm not trying to
That seems
metagame
like
it
an
for you,
important idea.
but it does seem kind of important for you. There you go. That'll do it, right?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Alright. So, you guys go on a journey, and you take kind of a very roundabout way, but it looks like a very common path to be traveled by Jebedo. But you have to like circumvent a lot of the town of Talagrad, and then you have to make it all the way to the crater's edge, and then you have to walk down. So it takes you most of the day. You probably midday by the time you guys arrive at the at a location where Jebedo kind of stops, and he kind of he motions to all of you to come closer, and you see that there is like a when he said entrance to the tunnels, you anticipated maybe like a cave in that kind of led down. There's a hole that's probably 5 feet wide by maybe 8 feet tall, and it just drops straight down, and it's pitch black. So it's not so much an entrance as a literal hole in the ground. And he says, "This is the largest entrance we've found so far. The others, well, it required some excavation to get into them. But this one, well," he kind of like looks at all of you and he says, "Well, you all should fit. It goes down about 20 feet, and then it continues on to I don't know where."
Raka goes through.
So, Raka, it just goes straight down. There's no like rope or anything. You can just drop down if you want.
I climb down.
So I think you go like to get in, and Jebedo like holds his hand up and he's like, "We have rope and a ladder to get you down there."
I'm so excited about rope right now.
May I have this rope?
So yeah, Jebedo, like a couple of the clerics and another paladin were like traveling with you. They provide you with like a bag that's just like full of rations, and they probably give it to Marcus. And Marcus, you can tell, is probably about a week's worth for all of you. And then you guys also have a couple more days worth of rations on you already. And in addition to that, they have like this rope ladder basically that they just like unroll, and it just travels down. And you hear the as it hits the ground on its way down.
Does it ever hit a solid surface down there?
Yeah, it's just a rope ladder. It's not like a wooden ladder, so you hear it just like bouncing across the stones. But the thing that they threw was like 20 feet, and Jebedo said it's like 20 feet down. And he's like, you guys have like plenty of torches and stuff, right? I can probably provide you with some if you think you don't have enough.
I think we can handle it pretty well. Jericho will touch Raka's weapon and put a light cantrip on it as he's done before.
Wah!
Marcus will also put on a light cantrip on his hammer, and it gives, instead of the normal light, it gives off like this dark blue glow from the hammer.
Oh god, that's so pimp!
So let me go ahead here.
Are you a cleric?
See, you get Marcus right, yet you've been travelling for me for God knows how long.
You must be a cleric of the war domain!
Put those
Marcus
two in.
doesn't answer.
Sigh.
So, and I'm going to assume, because I don't feel like asking you every hour of travel time if you refresh it, I assume you just refresh it and they're going to just have it at all times.
Yeah.
Okay,
It-
excellent. Fantastic.
If it's dark, I want to be able to see.
You're going into caves that have probably never seen light before.
Oh,
It's
that's
going
gonna
to be pitch
awesome.
black.
Yeah.
That's why Mail's going to be leading the group, as he's one of the few that can actually see within the dark.
Actually, I think 4 out of the 6 of you can see in the dark now.
Yeah, they can.
Before it was only 2, but now each other character has...
And you know what's funny? It's the same two.
Yeah, it's the same too.
Same too. Cool.
And with 2 light cantrips, both on your persons, will it actually set?
So the people that are close range have giant light bulbs to attract the enemies to them.
Duh. That's
Was
how it
that like
always
this?
goes. We're the beacon in the darkness.
I think that I got
Oh shit. Is it gonna happen? It's happening, isn't it?
What's happening?
Okay, cool. So, you guys say your farewells, and you travel down into the darkness.
Bye.
Dun dun dun.
I think
I would
that's
like to
probably a
note
good
that on
place to take a quick little break if you guys want. Quick little like, 5-minute break.
Yeah,
but
an hour.
Like set some things up. And yeah, I know. Well, we're going to take them a little more reasonably here for a little bit, so that people aren't like stuck holding their poopies in their hands or anything. Yeah, we'll take like a quick 5-minute break. Also, my food should be here momentarily, so I'm gonna get that.
That's my secret. I'm always holding it in my hands.
There you go. So we'll be back at 7:25.